friends, Ryan Aho here, the one and only Bert Lehman, and we got Coach Kraus back in the house again today, episode number 206 of the One to Go Show. Start with a little disclaimer. Us three knuckleheads, we like to talk racing, like to have a little fun. Sometimes we poke a little fun. Sometimes we take some shots at people. Sometimes we give the good, the bad, the ugly. It is what it is. If you're easily offended, right? If you're pretty soft, probably not the show for you, right? We might say some cuss words from time to time. So just little controversy. We like to have fun, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of facts, kind of a mixture of both. And we don't always represent the opinions of our sponsors here. So again, if you got small children that maybe you don't want to hear that stuff, maybe boot them out, but they hang around the racetrack, so they'll probably be just fine. So, before we get started here, guys, a quick shout out to Impact Health Sharing. I know open enrollment is basically done, but if you're looking at that going, oh my God, what did I just do? You can still cancel that, right? And I can get you a better deal perhaps. Give me a call, give me a text, 218-969-1380. Hit me up on Facebook. I'll see if I can save you some money. Been able to bring families in around $600 a month, so it's been a pretty good deal. So let's see if I can help you out. So a little bit of racing, right? Dirt in December, kind of closing out the 2023 season. I gotta be honest, I don't know what you guys think, but it never really disappoints. I mean, it was, I don't know, I was pretty entertained. First night, little bit sketch, it was kind of dry, not quite as entertaining. Then they got some moisture in it, and I thought it was pretty fun to watch. What do you guys think of the Dome here?
I would agree with you. The first night was probably the least exciting of the three nights. I don't know if they didn't want to put too much water on the first night and try to get the track hard the first night, for two more nights of racing afterwards. But it was definitely exciting, a little bit of carnage, some upset people, and a little bit of everything.
Perhaps an upset person or two, right? So Bert, since we got you on here, I mean, did you do anything fun and exciting this weekend? Incidentally, both of our football teams are utter disappointments half the time, but did you do anything fun and exciting this past week?
No, just pretty much the racing stuff.
Did you finish up that Toys for Tots deal?
Oh, yeah. I delivered the last of the toys today. So now, we may have a few late requests. So for the most part, the Toys for Tots is done for another year. And I enjoy doing it. It's a very good cause. And, it gives me a good feeling that, that I'm helping families out, but I'm glad when it's over for the year.
It's a lot of work. Hey, thanks for doing that. That's pretty cool that you do that. Coach Kraus, how about you? I know you probably had a little hockey here this last weekend. What's going on in your neck of the woods? Initial thoughts on the Dome, and then we'll get into a little bit more deeper dive here.
Yeah, no, I thought like I said, I was pretty busy with hockey. We had a game Friday. I watched all of Thursday and was able to have Christmas on Saturday, of course, and then watched pretty much all the Dome for the most part on Saturday. So, I think Thursday track would have been perfect if there would have been a high side. If they would have had a little cushion up there, it would have been just fine. I have zero issues with it being smooth and slick on the bottom. But they needed to have a high side. It got real dirty up there, and there wasn't any material. So, it is what it is. I think the Dome's to the point where we know what to expect. We know what's going to happen. We know there's going to be some feathers ruffled. There's going to be some slide jobs and people wrecking stuff, and trying to figure out why these guys go there and wreck stuff and they get all mad. It's bound to happen. It just is what it is. So, I'm mixed on. I know it's a big event, but to me, it was almost like it was. I don't know if it was like too much or if it's, are we having too much racing right now? Do we need more of a break? And the Dome's obviously a big event. Don't get me wrong. Place was sold out and packed, but I don't know. It was kind of just like same old for me.
Yeah, we'll take a deeper dive into that in just a minute here. And I'm kind of with you guys. I'll save kind of my thoughts, as we progress. But a little recap here from the past weekend. Not all the drama, just kind of straight up a little bit on the results. First, a shout out to our friend Brad Parson Soil and Ag Solutions. So if you're in western Minnesota, particularly northwestern Minnesota, maybe that eastern side of North Dakota, South Dakota, and you're a farmer, you're looking, how do I make more money? How do I improve on what I'm already doing? Guys, give Brad a call. His number is 320-219-3542. See, in the racing world, right, we might be fast. We might be winning races, but guess what? We want to get faster. We want to get better. So you're constantly adding some bite, changing a spring, doing something with a shock, trying to get a little bit better. Guys, farming's the same way. Why not test a little bit of your land with some of his products to see what it does, to see if you can maybe get better when you already think you're good. Can you get even better? Brad would be the guy to call. So night number one, guys, like we talked about, a little drier. Top wasn't quite there. In the late models, the Thrill from Mooresville parked in Victory Lane. Nick Hoffman, Fat Kids Matter. Jason Welshan, kind of like my boy, kind of like that guy. He runs pretty good at the Dome. Looking back from recent years, he's kind of had some pretty good runs. Second place, typically a crate guy. He had a non-crate engine in for that. Jaden Frame, who rolled over last year, got third, locked himself in night number one. WISSOTA guys, we had a couple WISSOTA guys race on night number one. Zach Wallers, incidentally, qualified, threw on a good lap, qualified well, started up on the front row. And last year, it was a complete dumpster fire. Zach was off the wall, ripping the side off the car, and he didn't do that. He did fade a little bit. He got fourth. He was trying that outside, probably tried it a little bit too long, but he got fourth in the heat, and then he ended up getting a flat in the B main. Kind of a bummer for him. Now, he did come back, had a really nice qualifying race there on Saturday, moved up through the field, put on a pretty good show. Kind of fun to see him have a pretty good run there. Lindsey Hansen, another WISSOTA guy, fifth in the heat, ninth in the B main. So he didn't make the show, but kind of cool to see him down there. Top five in the heat's a pretty good deal. Fireworks in heat number 5 on night number 1. We'll get to that a little bit later here. In the modifieds, RTJ got it done. Michael Ledford in a Mark Busch car, and Hess. Now, WISSOTA guys, Tyler Peterson, he got 9th in the feature. He got a flat right away. I didn't see what happened. I don't know if he got into somebody, clipped the wall, whatever, but he had a left front flat. So even though there wasn't a top, TPO rolled the high side to try to keep that left front off the ground. Zach Johnson, Millennial Farmer, 14th in the prelim feature, made it in that night, and Scott Bentz got 15th. So they all got to race the feature the first night. None of them transferred to the A main out of that. Zach Johnson, we'll give him what we call it the Hot Carl Award. He did win a B main. So, hey, there is that. Night number 2, much better racing. Jordan Grabowski, Drake Troutman, Mike Harrison, your top 3. WISSOTA guys. Joe Thomas, solid top 5 finish. He had a good weekend, all weekend long. Brandon Kopp got 8th. He looked pretty sporty. Couple little mistakes cost him. Jake Tim, we'll leave that one for a few minutes. Late models, RTJ, Chris Simpson. What do you guys think of that? RTJ throwing the slider on Chris Simpson, and I went back and watched it. I'll let you guys give your thoughts. I'll give my thoughts after. Chris Simpson not happy, both sponsored by Hoker. In Victory Lane, the top 3 got interviewed. He said, I don't care whose name's on the side of the car. He's got one coming. Your guys' thoughts on that incident?
Well, I was going to ask you guys what your thoughts were on that, because I was actually surprised when Chris Simpson was all upset in victory, or, in the pits after the races. And yeah, it was a slider, but my thinking is, I mean, it's the Dome. You have to expect something like that. I didn't have too much of an issue with it. So I'm curious to see what you guys have to say.
Well, here's my take on it, Bert. If you're going to sit down there and beak in front of all those people on the mic, and you had a chance, I don't know, they was right behind him in one of them features or somewhere. You got to put your money where your mouth is and take care of him, Mr. Simpson. Don't sit there and, I'm going to wreck him. I'm going to do this. He's got one coming. Take care of it right now in front of how many thousand people are there. All right. And get him back. That's what needed to be done right there, Mr. Simpson. And he didn't do it. So as far as over and done with, he's let RTJ just do whatever. And it was a racing deal. I mean, come on. He's the them Simpson, they whine and cry all the time. So, but until you do something about it, I don't really care what they say.
So, Coach Kraus, are you basically saying that he's a pussy? Basically, at the end of the day, just kind of a pussy?
Well, basically, I kind of lost my voice. We had a game yesterday, and we were playing Wausau, and we got into it with them last year with their coach, and we got into it again. Let's just say to speak, it was a pretty wild first period. So, like I said, if you're going to do something, make sure you do something about it. So, definitely. I mean, like I said, you had the perfect opportunity. I mean, if you do something, you would probably sold 1 million T-shirts. You know what I mean? So, do something about it. That's all I got to say.
You know, my thoughts on that, I watched it, and I watched the replay on Facebook, I think is where I saw the replay. He slid him, but he didn't hit him. Well, RTJ literally hit every single car he was next to in the late model feature in the last 10 laps on Saturday. It was nothing like that. He slid him. Simpson had to dynamite the brakes. He had to, still kind of got up underneath him. It was tight, but it wasn't a take your left front tire off, drive over your hood. It was aggressive, but it wasn't as bad as Saturday night. And my guess is old Jeff Holker probably sat down with him and said, look, boys, you may be talking a big game here, and yes, my name's on the side of both cars. Let's relax a little bit and move on till the next day. That would be my guess. Now, with that said, Troutman, Harrison, Grabowski, they were the top three there. Looking at this, that's the final night. We'll just jump into the final night. So Troutman, Harrison, Grabowski, RTJ running second, DNF'd after winning. He won his qualifier in both cars. And I honestly thought, I don't know what you guys thought, but after he was so dominant in both of his qualifiers, I'm like, this shit's over. I kind of thought RTJ was just going to run away. And Drake Troutman was pretty good. He kind of paced him pretty good there in the qualifier. Mike Harrison put on a hell of a race. He's fun to watch. That dude is flat out, gets after it on the cushion. Joe Thomas, really good run, 14th to 6th in the main. And Tyler Peterson, who got the provisional, had some bad luck leading up to that, but 20th to 8th. It's a pretty solid run there as well. But were you surprised to see Troutman parking it in victory lane in the modifieds?
Well, I mean, he's definitely good enough to win that race. I mean, he's a very good driver, mod and late model. I don't know if RTJ would have got him, but I think RTJ had a drive shaft issue, and I think that's what ultimately forced him out of the modified race.
Yeah, I think you might be right on that. Now, the late models, this one was kind of, I don't want to say a surprise because he's really good there. Brandon Shepard was the class of the field. Now, RTJ was back in, I don't know, 6th maybe with 10 to go. And he decided to hit the afterburners and literally tattooed everybody all the way to the front. Now, it was exciting. It was fun to watch. Tip of the cap. I mean, it was good stuff, but better not hear RTJ fans whining about people being rough drivers. Just saying, because now, with that said, it's the Dome. You didn't go there to get second. You didn't go there to get fifth. You go there to put on a show and win. So you do it. You do whatever it takes. But I don't know. Do you guys think that maybe he has a few people thinking he's got one coming in 2024?
Yeah, I think he was a little bit of a villain at the Dome, to tell you the truth. You know how nobody likes a winner, and he was the winningest driver out there last year. And like I said, he was sandbagging big time, saving his stuff. And when he decided, he was the fastest car on the track. There was no doubt about it. Another couple laps, he would have went right by Shepard. He would have thrown a slide job on Shepard. He would have stuffed him, wrecked him. He would have done something. But kind of just the way he's acting, he's up on Facebook, the way he talks in his interviews, I think he's turning into somewhat of a villain, which is good. We need that, especially with the top guy in late model racing right now. So I thought he was going to win that late model race, the lap traffic there. And Shepard obviously had to pick it up too. His spotter, when he can see on the Jumbotron there too, he was getting pretty tight, and I know he saw him that one time. So I think RTJ is turning a little bit of a villain.
Yeah, and I was just surprised how RTJ was able to put it up into another gear and he just decided, okay, it's time to get to the front, and he went to the front. Like you said, though, I mean, he hit pretty much every car except the pace car to get up to the front. And but you talking about RTJ becoming a villain. There was a fan holding that sign that said anybody but RTJ, and then that sign made it to victory lane when he won the preliminary night. And then I think Chris Simpson had it for the driver intros. He was carrying that sign, anybody but RTJ. So, yeah, I mean, he may have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, especially, since he didn't, had such a great season and didn't get a championship.
I'm telling you right now, that has him pissed off, right? RTJ is normally the guy over the last handful of years that he'll like voice his opinion all over social media and have a long post or whatever. He has not done that. To his credit, he has not. Now, being that he hasn't been able to really verbalize his disappointment to the masses, I think that kind of frustration building up inside, I don't know. You're gonna see him maybe be a little bit rougher here to start the season in 2024. Obviously, he was at the Dome. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
And you notice at the Dome, all the champions were there, but none of them made the feature.
Well, we'll talk about one of them in just a minute here. Hey, speaking of champions, champion of the race last year, Turbo had a hell of a run. He got the provisional, of course, because he was last year's winner. 20th to 6th. That's a pretty solid run there at the Dome. And Tanner English with another podium. So, guys, let's jump to this, right? Let's talk about, whether it's one or two. If you got a couple, that's fine. But your hottest takes from the Dome, right? Before we do, quick shout out Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating right there in Ashland, Wisconsin. Proud sponsor of the best series in all of Wissota racing, the Fastlane Superstock Series. That is by far the most amount of drivers follow it all year long, so that's a great deal. Home of the Galloper chassis, custom fabricating, custom powder coating. They can get any part you need. Look them up online. Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating, Ashland, Wisconsin. So let's start with you, Bert. Your hottest take or takes or whatever you got, your hottest takes from the Dome.
The call that the gift of a call that Gundaker got in his heat race on Friday night, where they said that his wheels didn't stop spinning, so he got to keep his spot when he caused the entire accident to begin with, and then he goes on to win the heat race. And I rewatched that right before the show, and he spun, and then his car backed up, and then it went forward. So your tires have to switch direction. So don't your tires have to stop for at least a millisecond in order for them to switch direction?
Depends if your dad does a track prep there or not. I'm thinking maybe that might have something to do with it.
Well, and you notice, because this was like in heat 5 or so, it was one of the later heat races. And this was the first heat race that they went to single file on a restart due to the number of crashes in the race. But, none of the other heat races were single file prior to that.
You make a good point, right? I mean, I didn't look that closely to see the wheels backing up and then stopping and going back forward. If that's the case, he should have went to the back. Joseph Joyner had a post online that tracks and series that have the rule where your tires, as long as they keep spinning and you get your spot back, that has to go, right? Because I'll ask Kraus this. You're racing in a race, some Yahoo spins out in front of the whole pack, and then they mash on the gas, right? They're spun out facing the wrong way, and they smash on the gas. A, what usually happens in that situation? And B, how bad do you want to beat their ass when it's all said and done?
Yeah, for sure. And that's why the World Outlaw Sprint Cars got away from that deal. After a couple of years ago when Hoddenchild was leading that race and those two lappers spun out in front of me, remember that? And they ended up throwing in the back. They've changed that rule now. So if you you don't have to do that. If there's an accident in front of you, you don't have to mash the gas and keep going. You can stop and let those guys and anybody else behind you, you're going to get your spot back. So that rule, it does need to get cleaned up. You're right. And it's a safety deal, but you see it at Boone all the time. in the heat races where there's guys spinning while they're just standing on the gas, and you end up wrecking more stuff just because they're trying to keep going. So we gotta smarten up with that and use a little common sense there. And two lappers spin out and everybody stops. Hey, those guys got to get your spot back because you're trying to. I mean, you're going to wreck your own stuff just to keep moving. No. So it was good. Sprint cars doing that was huge for them because you can really wreck some stuff in the sprint cars. So yeah, they got to clean up that no fault rule a little bit. But again, it's almost getting to the point where you might as well just have somebody make a call. Because now there's more gray areas in that no fault rule right now than there is just someone standing in the corner making a call. So we'll see what happens. Just kind of clean that rule up a little bit.
Absolutely. Bert, any other hot takes before we jump on to Coach Kraus?
Well, I mean, obviously the Jason Feger versus Carson Hocevar, I'm a Jason Feger fan. I like Jason Feger. I have a lot of his die casts. I have his door panel hanging in my basement. But I don't agree with what he did after he got the flat tire. And I rewatched that incident several times. I even paused it and screenshotted at different points. And then I really paid attention to all the restarts after that. And 99% of the restarts after that, the leader is like 4 feet in front of the second row by the time, once they get on the gas. But for some reason, Feger wasn't on the gas, and I don't know what Hocevar was supposed to do because Harrison was kind of pinching him down into the fence. So if he doesn't go, if he just lets up, he's going to be in third place by the time they get to corner one. So I don't necessarily think Hocevar did anything wrong, in my opinion, but I've never driven a late model before, so I'm curious to see what you guys have to say.
Yeah, I have some thoughts on that. I'll let Coach go first.
Yeah, I think, first off, tight place like that, if you're Carson Hocevar, and you got to remember, he doesn't have a whole lot of experience in there. And in his interview, we don't have spotters like we do in NASCAR. He was coming up with excuses too, but I watched it 1,000 times too. And, Feger's right. He can block the top and he's got to block the bottom. And he was a little over dramatic when he cut across the front of those guys' nose there, but Hocevar can't be sticking his nose in there. That on the other, the guy's coming down and you're going to get into him. So just wait a little bit. And they must have said something on the receiver after that. Hey, give the leader some more room. Cause after that, there wasn't any more issues. So I'm sure the flag man or race control got on there and said something about that. So, and it was a racing deal, Hocevar wanted to win the thing and he had to get the jump because the guy on the outside, technically he's going to get the jump there. So, hard racing, great entertainment. It's even more entertainment on social media. I mean, I've never seen a driver make a post like that, like Feger did. And then he made a video yesterday. I didn't even watch the video. I didn't have time for that. I didn't even watch that deal. I read half that post and blocked him. So I didn't even read any of that. So, hey, like I said, if you're going to get on social media and do stuff, do something about it. Simpson, Feger, these guys do something about it. So that's about my take on that deal, Bert.
I actually did watch the video, and I'll comment on the video after Ryan makes his comments.
Yeah, so I call that a buzzy start, right? I'm a huge Buzzy Adams fan, but he always comes high and he cuts right across everybody's noses. And on a bigger track, you kind of that's an advantage, but we're on a go-kart track, right? I mean, this is a small track. There's a big launch pad on the bottom, the top's kind of garbage, to be honest with you, on night number one. If he just does a normal start, he wins that race easily. So I think Feger was overthinking that, kind of worried like, man, I got to kind of protect here. Well, you're not on a normal racetrack. You got to know where you're at. You're at the Dome. He did not need to do that. Now, it is what it is, right? It's his right. He can start how he wants. And Coach Kraus is right. Hocevar stuck his nose in there, but they barely touched, right? I mean, he come across, he got in there, got his left rear, and he dynamited the brakes. And it was Mike Harrison on the outside that kind of really got into him. So Hocevar did what he had to do. He got on the brakes and, it doesn't take much to cut the sidewall of a tire and get somebody a flat. So it wasn't like he just flat out garbaged them, stayed in the gas, kept going or anything. the biggest thing was the reaction afterwards, and there's no way to justify that. Now, I will say I'm a Fager fan too, wearing a hat, right? I'm not going to lie. I've probably done similar stuff, right? I kind of had a short fuse. You have a big platform like that, a big race, you're hoping to win, somebody cuts your tire. There's a lot of emotions. Now, does that justify it? Does it make it right? Absolutely not. I don't know that he got booted for the weekend, or if he just basically told Cody Sommer, you know what, our shit's broke, I'm done for the weekend, and they decided to take the rest of the weekend off. But they should have made an announcement that he is officially done parked for the weekend. I don't know that they made that announcement. Yeah, did they make that announcement?
He raced on Saturday.
Oh, he did race Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay. See, now I think that's bullshit, right? I don't think he should have been able to race on Saturday. When you go out and do that, I mean, we're talking driver safety. When you're flat out using your car as a weapon, they probably should sit you down for the rest of the weekend, right? I'm all about entertainment and all that. It was great. The crowd got into it, but I mean, his nose piece, it was basically right. Took the whole side of the car off. It was right by his helmet. I mean, that's utter stupidity. Yeah. So the fact that they let him continue on for the rest of the weekend that's mind-boggling to me. Do better. I mean, I get it. I've been there, done that. But man, that was a rough one.
And he addressed that. He addressed his retaliation in that video. And I'm just take this for what it's worth. I'm just repeating what he said. He said, basically he said, if he wasn't going to win it, he wasn't going to let Hocevar win it. And then he said that Cody Summers said at the drivers' meeting, if you have an issue with a driver, you take care of it on the track, not in the pit area. So that's why he did what he did on the track and not in the pit area. I don't know if that's what Cody said in a drivers' meeting, but that's what Fager said.
Wow. Kraus, you're shaking your head. Your thoughts?
Like, come on. And did they not kick Huddy out last year after what he did to Tyler Carpenter? Right?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure they did. They told him to pack up and go home.
Right.
And Fager's was way worse than. Huddy basically picked him up, spun him out, and cut his tire. But Fager took the whole side off his car. So now you're allowed to go out on the track and use your car as a battering ram and take care of it on the track. Or does he mean during green or?
I don't know. I mean, normally it's, don't do stupid stuff on the track. And if you have an issue, take care of it in the pits. But Fager said in the video, that's not the way Cody wanted to do it. So like I said, I wasn't at the drivers' meeting, so I don't know if that was said, but that's what Fager said.
And there wasn't any instances in the pits. You know what I mean? Simpson didn't go after him, so maybe they did say that because there was nothing back there for in the pits, and the pits are tight, and I get that, and you come flying through with your car. I understand that, but at the end of the day, someone might have to go clock somebody and take care of their own business.
Yeah, Hocevar is not quite big enough to go take care of business with Nathan Fager. That's not going to happen. So maybe he meant like if there's going to be a fist fight, get out on the racetrack, put on a show for the crowd, right? I don't know what he meant, but yeah, it was interesting that he just kept on with the social media, right? A post and then a live, and then it's like, dude, just zip it. Like you did stupid shit. You had a raw deal. You got a flat tire. He was mad. He's upset. I get it. You did something dumb. You retaliated. Now just let it go and let everybody kind of forget about it. So, any other hot takes from you, Bert, or what do you got there, Kraus?
Well, I just have one more thing. I think the racing was much better this year without the opening in the fence coming out of 2. Because that's where the incident with Huddy was last year, and there was no possibility of that taking place this year because they changed where the wall openings were, and I think that was a good move.
Yeah, I agree. Coach Kraus, hot take from the Dome.
Well, first thing, we got to give a shout out to the fans. That place was absolutely packed. It was sold out. So I think that puts dirt track racing, dirt late model racing, whatever it may be, in a good state. So I think from an exposure standpoint, there's nothing else going on. The pay-per-view, people from all over the country there understanding what's going on with dirt racing. So I think that was a huge thing. So shout out to all the fans for supporting that show and showing up and having some fun. Great show they put on there. I've seen videos with the fireworks and the lights flashing and all that good stuff. So they definitely do entertainment wise. They definitely do it right. And then, man, there's a lot of drivers there I've never even heard of. I mean, you look at 120 some late models and it's like, who are these guys? And nothing against them or nothing, but where do these guys come from? So there's a lot more guys out there than you think, because us three, we watch racing all winter long, all summer long, whenever there's racing on, and you pretty much know everybody these days. So a lot of drivers out there that I don't know of, and get to do some research on them. And it's fun watching new drivers too, because like I said, we get to see everybody. So it's kind of cool to see all the new drivers there. And like I said, again, shout out to the fans for supporting dirt track racing.
I want to make a comment about all the different drivers there. I saw some posts on social media, and also I read an article that some people are trying to say that it should be invite only for late models. And my personal feeling is I disagree with that, because like Kraus said, it gives us an opportunity to see drivers we've never seen before. And actually, these unknown drivers have won heat races there, and that can make their entire career winning a heat race at the Dome. So I would hate for it to be invite only for late models.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And that leads me into my hot take, right? My hot take is the entertainment value provided at the Dome, and that little tiny bull ring with some character being the great equalizer. You do not need to have a $50,000 to $100,000 race car to provide great entertainment. Okay, it's unnecessary, right? I've had this conversation with my buddy Johnny Broking all the time, right? Grand Rapids Speedway. The crowd for the enduros, and we're talking like shit boxes that you put a cage in and knock the windows out and go beat on each other for 100 laps. They have twice as many fans as any race all year long with like real race cars. Well, the Dome, you do not need a brand new, whatever chassis with a, $40,000 mill underneath the hood. You don't need that to compete there. And these small market teams that Bert's talking about, they come in and you see people, Miles Moose has won a feature, right? Who's that one guy, that Welshan guy? I never even heard of that dude except for at the Dome, right? Tyler Carpenter's got good stuff, but, he doesn't really compete very well on bigger type racetracks with the big boys. He runs well there typically. So I see people online going, I would never bring my stuff there. Well, no, I get it, right? If you have one car and it's a brand new, whatever chassis, and it's brand new and you got $60,000, $70,000 into it, yeah, no, I get it. Probably not a good idea to bring your stuff there because you're going to tear some stuff up. But this is a place where you can get a hold of a buddy that's got a 5-6-year-old car, say, hey, let's throw this together. Let's go to the Dome, right? Let's go do that. You don't need that top of the line equipment to win races there. And I don't know. I mean, we saw people run up front, compete with a lot less equipment than your Brandon Shepard that, of course, won, and your RTJ. But they were there at certain times. The cream's going to rise to the top typically. But I just think that in all of racing, and this goes all the way back down to weekly racing, right? Everybody's got the mentality of, oh, man, late models is the top class. Got to have late models. Got to have this. Got to have that. Well, we've talked about this countless times, Bert. Street stocks and IMCA stock cars put on as good or better racing, right? Not that they're not getting expensive too. They are, but they're far less expensive. So just because a car costs way more, there are great equalizers like the Dome, like small bull ring tracks with a little moisture in them that can really even the playing field. So promoters, if you're looking, how can we make it more entertaining? Water the racetrack. Every single driver down there that was interviewed said, and they asked them, well, would you rather have the track like Thursday or would you kind of want it like Friday? And every one of them said, I got to be honest, I'd like a little character in it. I want it to be a little choppy, a little rough, get up on the wheel. They all said that, right? They all knew what they were getting into. None of those guys were whining that, oh man, well, I want it smooth. I don't want it bumpy. They're like, chop this deal up. Brandon Shepard's like, I want this thing choppy. I want to get up on the wheel. And I don't know if you guys saw the picture with all four tires off the ground. I mean, yeah, him and RTJ are not scared to get after it. So I would say that is one. And then the other one is, Kraus talked about the fans. Got to give a donkey award to any fan that brought their infant child with them. What the hell are you thinking? 8-hour freaking shows all weekend long, right? And literally the last 2 days, I saw multiple posts. Oh man, I had headache for 2 days. I was sick. The fumes got to me. Some people said, hey, I sat in the right spot and the fumes didn't bother me at all. But there's a lot of fumes in that place, right? So they even mentioned on Flow, they're like, hey, look, they have earmuffs on that one kid. Yeah, but probably can't breathe. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know. What do you guys think? I think there's way too many fumes in that place to be bringing a little kid to, especially a newborn child. Like they showed a few photos of. Your thoughts?
I didn't think about that, but yeah, you have some valid points there regarding having infants at that race.
Yeah, so now I heard a little bit of buzz, nothing substantiated, but I heard the contract is up at the end, like next year's the last race on the contract, and there's some buzz. Again, this is all rumor mills coming in, right? But the buzz going around is they might not get extended, right? With all the cleaning and all the stuff that goes into it, there's rumors that they might not get extended. Now, my thoughts on that is that's probably posturing by whoever's in charge of the Dome, trying to look to maybe get a little bit more money out of them on the next contract, kind of a little bit of leveraging thing. Do you guys think with the success that race has and the amount of people that they bring into the city of St. Louis, do you think there's a viable chance that they just don't extend their contract?
Well, in this world, anything is possible. But yeah, I mean, what kind of other events do they have at that place? I mean, that's Dome used to, an NFL team used to play in there, but obviously they don't have an NFL team anymore. So they should, the entire community should be working to bring in successful events. And based on what I've seen, this event just gets bigger and bigger every year. It's not like it's not like interest is waning on this event. It continues to grow each year.
Kraus?
Yeah, well, and from the sounds of it, there's a lot of restrictions in that place too. You have to use this dirt only, and the track can only be this big, and you have to do this and that. So maybe there is a little stuff behind the scenes where, whether the state or the city, whoever it is being a little bit of a pain in the butt. And I don't know with the amount of money there, and who knows what the breakdown is, but I would assume the Anheuser-Busch was trucking in the adult beverages at that place nonstop with how many people were there. So like I said, I know they talked a little bit about that. So there are some restrictions and stuff there. So, sometimes it's just hard to work with people and they don't want to do it. But sure, there's plenty of places that would open their doors and love to have an indoor race.
Yeah, they got to keep that place going. I mean, that's a spectacle. It's not just a race. It's a destination. It's an event. And the crowd, the amount of people in that place, let's just say this. That used to be a football stadium. There was way more fans at that event than there was at the Carolina Panthers football game this past weekend. So there is that. Now,
hey,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, you gave a donkey award, so this leads me to I have a donkey award to give out. Any man that is at that event, if the camera is on you, do not lift up your shirt to show off your beer belly. We don't want to see it.
I will second that motion right there. Right, I got to agree. I'm with you on that. So let's go to the highs and lows of the Dome. I got a few topics here. So the highs and lows of the Dome brought to you by our friends over at Daytona 1 Performance Lubricants. Now, we talk a lot about the tire treatments that they have and having products out there to allow tires to be used longer. Well, right here, they have XL1 engine treatment. Okay, this is another one of their great products that they have. They have a lot of different products in the lubrication market. Now, Buck, the founder of Daytona 1, he's actually in the Hall of Fame for lubricants in NASA's Hall of Fame. So it's far beyond anything with just tires. Now, this product right here, the engine treatment, okay, what does it do, right? Multiple different things. Like if you put this in your engine just simply on a dyno, he's seen 2% increases. Now, people are like, well, that ain't much. Well, I don't know, Kraus, would you take 8 to 10 more horsepower? I think you probably would, right? Especially when it's cheap. Also, regular vehicles, you're going to get better fuel economy because of less drag, less friction, less heat. Now, superior protection, right? Protecting your engine because, the friction, the heat on the bearings and everything, this is going to help that. Another thing, reduced engine noise. And then up in northern Minnesota, cold weather startups, right? Put this in your regular vehicles. It's going to help your engine turn over faster. So that's going to help with that. Now, if you want to learn more about this product or any of their other products, give Chad a call, 507-828-3536 to learn about all the great products that Daytona 1 Performance Lubricants has to offer. So let's go with this. So we talked about a couple Donkey Awards. I'll let you guys answer. If I have a different answer, I might chime in. But I'll just go with each of you. Give me your answer to these questions, okay? Biggest donkey of the week at the Gateway Dirt Nationals.
Well, based on his actions, I'd go Jason Feger.
Coach Kraus?
Yeah, that's there's a few there for the taking. Definitely for sure. But it's definitely Fager. There's no doubt about it. I mean, with what he had on the stake, what he was doing, and then all his actions afterward, it was definitely Jason Fager.
All right, sorry, High Side Hustler. We're sorry, but we just got to do it. Best Wissota performer of the week. Coach Kraus, we'll start with you.
Well, you always got to go to the guy that finished the highest, and Joe Thomas. There's no doubt about it. He was there in qualifying. He was there in the heat in the first feature, and then obviously had a good run in the second feature. And obviously, him and TPO are kind of teammates when they go down there. Everybody knows that. So that was definite. But fun watching those guys. Obviously, thought Brandon Kopp was going to get that B, or I don't know, it was LCQ or what it was. He was letting her rip. But yeah, definitely Joe Thomas with his performance and running with some pretty fast guys in that modified class up front. So it was good to see. It's good to see a local guy like that do well. Would
you agree with that, Bert, or you got somebody else that you want to throw in?
I would agree with that, but I want to mention Wohlers. He's Wissota, right?
Yep.
He advanced a lot of spots in his heat race on Saturday. I can't remember if he made the feature, but he advanced a lot of spots in his heat race. So I'll give him a little bit of press time here.
Yeah, he did not make the show on the final show, but you're right. He had a hell of a good run there on Saturday in the qualifier, and really fun to watch him. The Band-Aid Award. So what's the Band-Aid Award? So in dirt track racing, when you mess up and you mess up good, we basically say you stepped on your dick. So I like to hand out Band-Aids so they can tape that little thing to their leg so they don't do it again. All right? Who would you guys give the Band-Aid Award to for this weekend?
Well, I'll give it to Huddy because he never even made a official lap in a race because he spun out in hot laps and was done for the weekend.
It was after hot laps too, wasn't it? Wasn't it after the checkered that he did it?
It might have been. Yeah, it was late in the hot lap session at the very least.
Oh, that was and he owned it though, right? I mean,
yes.
Right away they're like, well, I think something the engine locked up, and he's like, no, I just hit the brakes too hard and killed it. And got into the fence, and it was kind of fun. They had him up in the booth there on night number 2. He did a great job out there. It was kind of fun listening to him, but he owned it, so I got to give him credit. But that's a top candidate for sure.
And you mentioned him in the broadcast booth. I just want to say one thing. I agree. He did a great job up there, and they were talking about Bishop, doing some practice before the Gateway, and they asked Cuddy if he ever did practice before Gateway, and he said no, because you could never dig holes deep. You could never dig holes deep enough in order to simulate the conditions here.
And he wrecked himself on the smooth nights, so I don't know. Kraus, Band-Aid award.
Yeah, well, Bert took mine as usual. He wanted to jump there because he knows where I was going to go. But here's my take on this deal. I don't think there is such a thing at the Dome. I don't care who you are. It can jump up and bite you anytime. But you know what? What did Tyler Carpenter do all weekend? You know what I mean? He wasn't. There's a lot of hype there. I thought, tell you the truth, I thought Freddie was a little bit more, was faster and more consistent than Tyler was. So, and Tyler broke. He just didn't really look into it. So a little disappointing, that Tyler Carpenter wasn't up there thrashing with everybody. So I'm going to give it to him. The kind of a split between the, you call it the Band-Aid and the donkey. I think he kind of had a split award there with Tyler Carpenter, not living up to his expectations and thrashing and being up front.
I got to do it. I'm a fan. I like watching this kid. I've known him for quite a while. I raced against his dad, but I got to give it to old Brandon Kopp. He had that win in your in race in control. It was over. And he I get it. We've all messed up, so I'm not going to say that we haven't, but that's a painful one. He had a pretty good hot rod, and he flat out just jumped the cushion, jumped it into the fence, and literally knocked himself out of making it into the A main. So got to give it to old Brando.
There were several cars that landed in the fence this year, and after a couple of them did that, I thought the big saying from last year, I'm thinking, you can't park it there.
Right, exactly. Now, how about this? I added one to the list, right? Biggest disappointment personally, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that the weekend didn't go as planned, but as a fan, as you guys watching the event, biggest disappointment, and this ain't really a knock, it just is what it is, but the biggest disappointment for you as far as drivers?
I'll let Kraus go so I don't steal his driver.
Yeah, I already used Tyler Carpenter in that one, but it's got to be Bobby Pierce.
Yeah.
Kind of a local, World of Outlaw champion. He's been fast there. He puts on a show. And I think you can throw obviously Huddy in that too. I think everybody wanted to see him in there, and I think you probably would have had it. You probably would have had Bishop, Huddy, Pierce, and Thornton going at it. And it would have been that would have been wild. That would have been really, really wild if you would have had those guys. So, but it's got to be Bobby Pierce. Like I said, everybody wants to see him. Everybody, whether you like him or you hate him, everybody wants to see him up on the wall, and 100% for a fact that he's going to put on a show.
Bert?
I would agree with Kraus. And the thing with Bobby Pierce is, they asked him what happened, and he said the motor stopped. And you can, if you rewatch it, the tires aren't turning and whatnot, but then he ripped on, the track is rougher than a bitch or something like that. And it's like, it's Gateway. You got to know it's going to be rough. Don't complain about the track conditions.
Right.
It wasn't nearly as rough as some years.
Yeah, that's almost donkey worthy right there. I'm going to go with Jake Tim, and I don't know what happened to start that heat, if he got pinched or if he just flipped it by himself. I'm not sure what happened, but he was inside pole in his heat and literally clipped the inside barrier and got a left front flat, and that was before the green flag even. It was coming off of turn 4, and he ended up pulling in right away, and that essentially ended his weekend. He put on a hell of a trying to get to the front, and, really exciting watching him, but I had pretty high hopes for him when he started on the front row. I'm like, man, this guy right here has been really, really good. And just it was disappointing to see him and TPO both get flat tires. Both of them would have been contenders if that wouldn't have happened. How about this? Best intro. The kind of a cool deal they do down there if you live under a rock and didn't get a chance to watch is they do like unique kind of drivers intros before each race. Who would you guys put down for the best intro?
Well, how can you not choose the one with Ted Nugent in it?
That was good. That was Bishop, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Bishop.
That was actually a pretty neat one. I forgot about that one actually.
Yeah, you got to go. You got to go Tanner English. I mean, you can't have the Purple Cobras come out and him dressed up like White Goodman from Dodgeball, and then have his crowd and come out. That was pretty cool. And he had him on his car, so that was definitely a good one. Got the crowd going. Everybody knows that movie too, so it's a sports movie and stuff like that. So I thought that was good. Thought that was pretty funny as well.
I got a couple here. I got RTJ coming out with a championship belt. You talk about a chip on your shoulder, right? He comes out. He had his own championship belt, walking out like I'm the champ. Then he lost, so it didn't work out very good for him. But so the championship belt there. Freddie Carpenter with a Tyler Who sign. That was kind of a fun deal. And then I don't know. You kind of got to go anything with the Frisky girls there. They kind of come out with multiple drivers, so. I don't know. Let's just say this. If you don't know who the Frisky girls are, right, you might want to look up on Facebook Frisky Motorsports. It's a unique group of gals from over in Tennessee, big race fans, but kind of an interesting group. Let's just leave it at that. So, well, not the result.
Oh, just one thing about the driver intros. The interesting thing for me anyway is you're watching these intros and then a driver just walks out and, doesn't do anything. It's like, oh, it's like a letdown.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, they got to work on their showmanship, right? That is a fact. So, not the result. Is there anybody else that stuck out, right? That you're like, okay, they didn't quite have the results they wanted. Maybe didn't do anything stupid, but they kind of showed out. Somebody that maybe that you thought was pretty entertaining that maybe didn't finish where they were hoping.
I think we touched on most of them.
Yeah, I think the only one I'd say TPO. I mean, he come from 20th up to 8th, solid into the top 10. I mean, obviously he went there to win. He won it before, but, cool to see him at least move forward quite a bit after starting back in Turbo, 20th to 6th. So a couple hard chargers there with the provisionals.
I mean, Jordan Grabowski won one of the prelim nights in the modified, and he was in the top 5 in the regular show, I believe, also. And, the announcers were speculating, because he's an IMCA driver, so they were wondering if he had his crate engine in there. And then the announcer asked in Victory Lane, he said, no, this engine was specifically built for this event. I'm going to be racing this engine in USMTS next year.
Nice. So 2023 Pick'ems is officially in the books, right? The season is done, but before we get into the final results, Coach Kraus, how about a shout out to our new sponsor, Elevate Visual? What do you got to say about the folks at Elevate Visual?
Yeah, absolutely. Get a hold of Brandon at elevate-visual.com. He has a Facebook page as well. He's basically a video production guy, and he does drone work for real estate, for land, farmers. You got any acres out there that you need to get online so people can see if it's for sale? He also does anything with video production too. So it's elevate-visual.com. And like I said, he's got a Facebook page, and he does an awesome job. He's and the flip side is he's my video guy at Viking Speedway. He's my video guy for the Alexandria Blizzard, and he does a great job doing video stuff. And like I said, we're always giving him a hard time. We got to get that drone flying out around town so we can see what's going on with construction. We had a bunch of construction around here, and he was flying his drone around and getting some videos of it too. So great guy. So get a hold of Brandon at elevate-visual.com.
Awesome. So Bert, you didn't quite get her done. You won the first 2 years. You did not get the third one. A new sheriff in town, Curtis, your champion for 2023. Bert, you got second. Dan finished in third. Brad in fourth. Mike in fifth. Kenton 6th, the old 71A here with 7th. I mean, that might as well be a last. That was terrible performance. Not so hot Carl at 8th, and his brother Jeff literally finished 13 points behind him, and Carl, I don't think, made a pick for the last 2 months. So we got a little something coming for old Jeff there. We got a couple cool awards. We're gonna send them out. When we get them, we'll see if we can maybe get a short little video of an acceptance speech from these guys.
Well, I just want to say congratulations, Kurt. Here is the trophy. I do want it on the record that I won the last 2 years, and I didn't get this trophy until August of this year. So I didn't get to enjoy it that long.
You get to keep that trophy. We actually have a brand new trophy that is custom made for the champion. So that is yours to put on your mantle. That is yours to keep. And so Curtis has his own trophy coming. So the pick'ems out. There's really nothing to pick. So the new season is starting now. We're going to start our picks the week of, I guess it would be the Wild West Shootout and the Chili Bowl are essentially the same week. So we're going to pick those races, and we won't make those picks, of course, until, that week coming in. So let's jump into the last lap, brought to you by our friends over at Dirt Track Supply, Watertown, South Dakota, home of the Aero chassis. Ron and Trevor Anderson, great people, great ambassadors to the sport. They help a lot of people, and they have for a long time. They've had success behind the wheel and in their store. They service a lot of tracks. They sell any parts that you might need. They do fabricating, bodies. Heck, they'll scale your car. They'll do whatever you need. Anything racing related, get a hold of Ron and Trevor at Dirt Track Supply in Watertown, South Dakota. So, a little late model news, guys, in northern Minnesota. So Jeff Provenzino is always the guy that's gotten a lot of flack, right? He's a little rough around the edges, probably why I like him, because he's not afraid to kind of say it how it is, right? But I will say this. There's only a few drivers, and Kraus can relate to this. There's only a few drivers that put their money where their mouth is. What I mean by that is, every one of us as a racer will complain about the purse and they're not paying enough and we need another special. Well, Jeff Provenzino, for many years now, has actually gone out and got revenue to bring into racetracks for special events to add to the purse for the late models. That's a guy right there. I got to give a shout out to old Provenzino. He puts his money where his mouth is. Now, he's spearheading the inaugural. I don't know if it's going to be a one and done deal. I don't know if it's going to be a year after year. I'm not sure what their plans are there, but they're going to have the Tom Wasilewski Memorial for the late models at the Hibbing Raceway. 11,111. Of course, he was number 1W, so all ones. 11,111 to win, 501 to start. So I got to give a shout out to him, the Wasilewski family. That's going to be a really, really good event. And then Pat Capella up there, which we've talked about KME. Man, that guy has spent a lot of money in dirt track racing in the last couple of years. June 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th, tentatively. I believe that's going to be the week. All 4 nights, Grand Rapids, Superior, Hibbing, and Proctor. He's put up a bunch of money, $5,000 to win for the late models, 4 straight nights up in northern Minnesota. So pretty cool stuff going on up there. Next week, we don't have the Chili Bowl quite yet, but we have the Tulsa Shootout. So if you're a race fan out there and you're like, I got to get my racing fix, right? That's going to be on Flow. It's probably going to be pretty good features in some of those. I don't watch all of them, but some of them races get pretty darn good, but they get they get over 1,000 entries at that deal, don't they? I mean, it's incredible how many they get. And then, of course, right after the first of the year, the Chili Bowl and the Wild West Shootout. Now, kind of interesting. So, Kyle Larson was very vocal last year about, I'm not going to the Chili Bowl till they raise the purse for this deal. They're not paying the drivers enough money. They raise the purse. Kyle Larson is entered in and registered for the Wild West Shootout. So, he got him to raise the purse. He's still not going. I just found that kind of interesting. Probably good for us because I'd rather watch him in a late model than a midget anyway. Did you guys see Hendricks Motorsports made an announcement here this week? Did you see that? So remember Alex Bowman run 410 sprints?
I did hear this.
And he tumbled pretty hard. He missed some races last year. He took a pretty hard roll, and Hendricks told him no more 410 sprints. In fact, I don't know if he's cut out of all dirt track racing for 2024, but Hendricks and Alex Bowman decided there's none there. Now, isn't Kyle Larson a Hendricks guy?
Yes.
So it's interesting, right? So I'm not sure how that all happened. And in that World of Outlaw versus the High Limits deal, Carson Macedo made the decision to follow the World of Outlaw Sprint Car Series. It'll be fun to see who does what moving forward. Now, anything that you guys want to add in the last lap? What do you got, Bert?
I have one thing. We talked about how the track in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin didn't have a promoter for next year because the promoter's contract had ended and the promoters decided not to renew it. The track in Sturgeon Bay now has a promoter for next year. One of the guys from the promotional group that was promoting it before, him and one of his relatives, they're going to promote it together. So there will be racing in Sturgeon Bay this summer.
Any idea on classes or schedule or anything like that?
I would assume it'll be the same classes. The IMCA stock cars, IMCA sport mods. I think they have IMCA street stocks there, and they usually race like every other week there.
Okay. Kraus, anything that you want to add, or nothing too much yet?
Well, I got to tell the story. Bert will like this one too. So, Bert, of course, my league had our annual showcase. It's a big showcase event in Blaine, Minnesota. 34 teams there. Okay, there's teams from New York, Texas, Wyoming, Montana, all the Minnesota teams. Every team in my whole league's there, and they got a nice VIP scout area, right, Bert? So I get there on Sunday. I walk in and I sit down at the table, and a guy walks up to me. Now, understand this is all hockey people, Bert, and he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, are you on the One to Go show?" And I double to, I'm like, yeah, well, depends on who you're asking or who it is. Like, yeah, I am. And he goes, "You know what? I love your guys' show. You guys do an awesome job." I forgot his first name already. I know his last name's Dahlberg. We'll call him Mr. Dahlberg for now. Well, anyway, his brother or his son's the head coach of Boise State. They got a Division I club team out there. So he was over there with him watching hockey, and he gave us a little bit of a shout out. So I thought that was pretty cool. He lives down by Elko, Bert, and he goes to all the big events at Cedar Lake. So I thought that was pretty cool that there's someone out there. I'm at a hockey rink and someone says, "Hey, you're on the One to Go show." So I thought that was pretty cool. So shout out to him and, all our other fans that we have out there that actually, like I said, listen to us three knuckleheads.
That's cool. Well, earlier in the show, you said you were playing Wausau.
Yeah, we did.
Is that Wausau, Wisconsin?
Wausau, Wisconsin. They're in the Central Division. We're in the West.
Okay.
And, we cross over. So we played El Paso, Texas. We played a team in Texas, and we played Great Falls, Montana, and then we played Wausau, Wisconsin.
Okay, because Wausau is only 40 minutes from where I live.
Okay, yeah, they don't like me very much over in Wausau right now. Their fans, their coaches, their players, everybody. We beat them, and then they, like I said, then we're going to take care of business. We were actually going to do something about it. We weren't going to pull the Simpson and not doing anything about it. But then, of course, they all left, so we couldn't do nothing about it, Bert.
I like it. So let's jump into our last segment here. 3 bold predictions, where we make 3 racing-related, show-related predictions every single week. Hold ourselves accountable if we got them right, if we got them wrong. Got to be honest, we get them wrong more than we get them right, but it is what it is. And off the board this week, so we'll start with mine. I had a few come off the board. I said at least 5 different chassis brands would finish in the top 10 in the modified A-main at the Dome. Well, just a few here to come to mind. Troutman was in a Longhorn. Mike Harrison in an Impressive. Grabowski in a Brand X. Ledford in an MBR. Mark Bush Racing. Thomas and TPO in a Rage. Clay Money in a Mullins. I don't know what the other ones were in, but that's a lot of parity right there. So I got that one right. I said that the late model winner would not be in the top 10 in Dirt on Dirt. Well, that was wrong. That was Brandon Shepard. He is. And I said Bloomer would make the show. He didn't even show up. What the hell? I'm not sure what that's all about. So Bert had a couple come off the board. He said that Tyler Carpenter would have a better finish Then Hudson O'Neal, he kind of backed into that one. He didn't make the show, but he at least raced. Tanner English wins the Dome. Didn't get that one. And RTJ would finish higher in the mod than in the late model. Did not get that one. Coach Kraus, you said Wissota mod guy. A Wissota mod guy would finish on the podium. That did not happen. You said the leader of the mods would roll over on Saturday night. That did not happen. And the winner of the late models would not be a Rocket or a Longhorn. It was a Longhorn. And Good Jeff had 3. He said 3 local mod guys in the A main, and one would finish in the top 5. That did not happen. Zach Johnson would have a Tyler Carpenter type moment. That did not happen. And Tyler Carpenter would kind of do something crazy to RTJ for the win. That did not happen. Final standings for the year, I had 40%. Bert had 35%, and the listeners had 18. We're starting fresh here for 2024. So,
Hey.
predictions for... Oh, what do you got?
Are you saying Tyler Carpenter didn't make the feature?
Oh, did he make the feature?
He made the feature. Don't you remember all the kids came out for the driver intros?
I don't remember. Where did he DNF right away? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I think he pulled out early. Yeah.
Okay. I stand corrected on that one. All right. Predictions for 2024. We'll go Bert, Kraus, and me. I'll slide one in there for Good Jeff. Bert, what do you got?
I will say for the Tulsa shootout, overall car count will be a record for that event.
Okay. Overall entries will be a record at the Tulsa shootout. Kraus.
We're going, RTJ is going to get a podium at the Tulsa shootout. He's got it on his schedule. He's going to be there. He's running Chili Bowl. So I'm going to go, he's going to get out
Chili Bowl and Tulsa shootout both?
He's doing both. It's got Tulsa on his schedule. So I'm going to say RTJ is going to get a podium there on their Saturday night on the big show.
At the Tulsa shootout, not at the Chili Bowl.
Correct.
Okay. So Good Jeff says that mod special, the $100,000 to win at Mississippi Thunder, barring weather, the A main will take the checkered flag after midnight. So he's not extremely confident they're going to move that show along. I think they're gonna. They do a pretty good job down there, so we'll see what happens. My first pick is going to be RTJ related as well. It's going to be for the Chili Bowl. RTJ will be the highest finishing driver that runs a late model regularly at the Chili Bowl.
All right, I'm going to stay with the Tulsa shootout. And for the top division there, the winner that wins this year will have won that event in the past.
Which particular class?
The top division, whatever the top division is.
Okay, I'm not sure what the top division is, so we'll have to figure out what. It would probably be like a outlaw.
It'd be the non-wing outlaw.
Is it the non-wing?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go with that.
All right, so that it'll be a guy that has not won it before or has won it before?
No, that has won it before.
Okay. Coach Kraus?
Hasn't the Tulsa shootout been going on for like 400 years, Bert?
This will be the 39th annual.
So again, Bert, here we go again, Bert. Now I got to start giving you a hard time for not being bold.
Little bunt.
Yeah, I like giving you a hard time about your bold.
No, I don't. Well, my percentage is 35% for the year. I'd like to see how my percentage dropped after Jeff joined the show.
Okay.
Because
I hear you.
because
I'm gonna go.
I'm encouraged me to make tougher picks.
Right. I'm gonna go sprint cars here, and we're gonna go. There's gonna be more. I don't know how you want to put it. I'm going to put it premier drivers in the high limit series than the World Outlaw series. So I'm talking your Ricos, your Schatzes, your Macedos, your Hanchild, those guys. There's going to be more premier in the high limits than the World Outlaws.
Okay. I am going to go down. I'm going to go late model racing. Brandon Shepard, new crew chief, house car, Longhorn. Brandon Shepard is going to be the 2024 World of Outlaw Late Model Series champion.
Okay. And I don't think we talked about this on the show yet, but I am going to say Earl Pearson Jr. will not have a full-time ride in 2024.
That could very well happen. I completely spaced that he lost his ride there with Pappage. Yeah, they shut that deal down. All right. Coach Kraus.
I'm going to go, we're going back to the micro sprints here in the 600 Outlaw micro sprints. It's going to be the same winner, the Tulsa Shootout and the Chili Bowl. It's going to be the same winner. It's going to win the A main at both of them. It's going to be the same guy.
Okay. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I know very little about the Tulsa Shootout other than they have a ton of cars. I have watched some of the features. But I know there's a few Minnesota drivers that attend. So you're going to have between all the features, and I think there's like 8 or 9 classes. I'm not even 100% positive. But you're going to have at least 2 Minnesota drivers finish in the top 10 between all of the features. And to be honest with you, I don't even know how many Minnesota drivers are entered. So it's kind of a crapshoot. I have no idea. But I'd like to see some Minnesota drivers represent down there in Tulsa. So at least 2 of them get top 10 finishes in their respective A mains. So with that said, guys, we're gonna take a week off here. I know we just took a couple off. Carl's got a little grief over it, but the holidays are here. Everybody's spending time with the family, and the Christmas season is a great time of year. So not a lot of racing, not much happening here in the off week. I'll throw like the Jeff Hinkemeyer and the Rick Eggersdorf videos up so people can rewatch those if they haven't seen them. But I just want to take a minute, wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. We are going to be back the week leading into the Wild West Shootout and the Chili Bowl. So we'll be back that weekend. We're going to take this holiday weekend off, and then we'll be back at it. We'll have brand new group of people in the pick'ems. We'll have, me, Bert, and Kraus, plus the listeners are going to have all their own categories this year in the bold prediction segment. So going to have a lot of fun, and just want to thank everybody for tuning in here in 2023, and looking forward to a great 2024. Any closing thoughts from you guys before we jump off?
I just want to wish you guys and all of our listeners a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and take some time to spend with your families, and we'll be back soon.
Yes, absolutely. Happy holidays to everybody, and leave me alone. I'm on vacation now until next Tuesday. So my team's out of town, my guy's out of town. So I'll be locked up in my basement for 6-7 days here and getting ready for next Tuesday.
Awesome. Well, Merry Christmas, everyone. And thanks to all of our great sponsors. Support them when you can. We'll be back for another season starting here the first week of January. Signing off. Thanks for tuning in to the One to Go Show.